Good evening and welcome to another episode of Gaming with The Sims. This is Rohan Buildings Part 2. There will be 6 videos in this series. The first video was quite long. All the other videos we're going to look at one building at a time to try and keep it shorter. As I say, there will be, at the moment, 6. I would want to do a 7th video, which would be like a building with a tower with it. Got the ideas for it, don't have the kits at the moment, so this might be a future project to be adding to it, but the original series is just 6 to start with. In this one we're going to be looking at building a normal house with the kit. This was done with a single kit. I have swapped out one wall only, but it's the amount of pieces you'll get in the normal kit we'll be able to build what I'm going to show you today. My first kit I did the porch on the side. This kit we're going to do a porch in the end. So I will show you this one again just for reflection at the end between the two buildings, but we're going to get on with building this. All buildings you'll see in the house parts 1, 2 and 3 will have been seen at Into the West. This video is due to come out after Into the West, so you might have seen these pictures already of them already built and painted, but this is how to build them. Alright, so these are all the pieces in front of me. As you can see on the kits, if I just put up the sprues, there is still quite a few different bits. I've still got barrels here, I've still got the fences to add afterwards. So each kit comes with 2 barrels, 2 fences, and some more stuff. I believe this is all I need for it. So this is the building laid out in front of us, every piece we're going to need. On the porch, which is these areas here, when it goes to the side of the building, you do actually add something else here. 2 pieces go on each side to give it this little lip here. We shouldn't need that on this one, and also because I'm putting it on the flat end, this end, obviously I don't need the diagonal pieces for the roof because of it's going to just be a flat roof. Hopefully this, I don't know, so it'll be good to show you if this sits perfectly on this or if extra work's needed. This is the dormer to go onto the roof. I haven't shown you putting a dormer on the roof yet, so I'll be showing you that, and I'll show you on my manor house a few different tricks when I'm putting it on because it's very useful. And then I've got one side of the roof, 2 sides. This is the main roof, and then that's how I glue it together in stages to form the building. For the porch area there is different options. I'm doing solid door again. There's options not to put a door, and then you can put some Rohan detail into it. So I've taken some of the Rohan details, cut off the bit at the back which glues into the corners, so they're flush now, so I can actually glue them onto the side of it to give it a bit more detail. So these are part of the spare stuff I'm not using. If you look on the sprues, there's barrels still I've got to come out and do some work with. There's fences. You get 2 fences in each, and they do glue together to make like this. Because of how the detail is at the bottom, they are designed to be at 90 degrees. If you want them straight, you're probably going to have to work with it slightly. So without anything else, I will be starting to glue this together. So like I always say, I do it in a certain order, and I disagree with the instructions slightly. So I'm going to do 2 sides first because they are a bit more bendy. So I'm going to start with this. So I take one of my long ones. I've already planned out how it's going to look, and I recommend you doing it to know where your doors are, know where all your windows are, and where all the detailing is on the area to put my little 2 nails, which are, because every connector has nails on one end but not the other, So you want the nails at the top. I plan it out to make sure that how I want this building to look will actually work, because as I said in my previous video, if you put certain details in, because of this one isn't going to have a side porch, it's okay, and I can do windows all along it. If you want an actual side porch to go on one of the sides, you either have to use a door panel or the back of one of these, nope, it's the back of this one with the windows on, to make it a flat area. So you need either the door piece or the flat one with no detail on to put the side porch on. Otherwise, it doesn't fit because of the window details. It sticks out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over to help glue it, because some of these are raised up more, so it bends them not straight. Or you can also use the vise. So if but that one is gonna be gluing like that. So I'm gonna leave that side to try and get that side straight for this minute. So I'm gonna start work on the end. Again, I put both corners on the single ends because of it gives it better rigidity, being more rigid, so it will glue better to the side. So this end piece here, I've put both corners on and leave it here. So this end piece, I'm going to put both corners on this as well. And I'm using plastic glue for this. If you want to pop parts apart, using super glue is better. Plastic glue does melt it slightly, but for plastics like this, it does give it a better final seal. And I've just noticed that I'm actually missing a piece. I'm missing part of my roof. You can build it without this piece. This piece just gives it more rigidity. So the piece I missed, and I've done it before, is this T-piece. I'll show you how it goes on this in a second. So I'll just clean this up. So what you do, on this side, glue this over the doorway. I'm going to have my two triangle pieces going horizontally because of obviously it'll be more sturdy for when you built it because of the door. So that's why I've got them going horizontal. The other side of the building, this side of the building, I've got them going upwards. Because of all the others are going upwards, and they could just use longer pieces as a continuous area. So this is more what it would actually be like if they actually did have a porch there, because of my porch isn't going to be glued so it can be removed. Then if there was a porch, it could be both ways on this side, but I'm going to glue it vertically on this side. So my two sides are going to be different, and they are going to look different. Okay, so I've put the straight connector here with my two T-pieces. I turn it over, put a tiny bit of glue at the bottom here, and then this here glues in like that. You can use these pieces as if you're doing a blacksmith, which we're going to do in part 3, and you didn't want to have this area, you could use this as a detail to go across and then put another pillar up to give the detail. If you do it like this, when you glue it, because of it's glued to here, instead of just gluing along this line to stick it to the top of the door, you can also glue it here to help it stay together easier. It also means, and you stick this on once the four walls are together, because of that width of it means that the width of this fits between the two side walls, and means it will be perfectly centered. If you don't use it, you might run the risk that your triangles aren't perfectly centered in the building, which means the roof might not sit on properly. So I do recommend using them T-pieces all the time. This one should have glued now, the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this side. So again, I'm using a double length, a single length, and a connector between it, putting in a vise to make sure it dries straight. Because of some of my other buildings, you can see, or if you don't do it in a vise, they glue slightly like bent. They aren't perfectly straight, and how it's designed, it can bend like that. Because if I show you one of these connectors, you've got detail on one side and then a very thin panel here, which means when you glue in like this, it's free moving, hinging this like this. You can't go the other way, can't go like that, because of this bar stops it. But because of there is no bar on this side, it can actually bend inwards, which it's great if you want to do a 45-degree wall. You've got corners to do a 90-degree wall, but your straights are meant to be at 180, but they can end up being like 135 with a kink in it. Not brilliant, so please be careful with that. So I've done both my ends with the corners on, so I've got this triangular area again. As I said, I'm doing it differently to this one, so it looks different. So for speed, I'm putting it back where it's all laid out, so I know where to go. Once you've built one or two of these kits, well, one kit, you don't need to see the instructions again. It will all be, if you do it quite recently, I'm doing all my kits within a week, it's quite easy to remember all the different areas. It's just when you're clipping everything out, you do sometimes forget one of these. I remembered it for this side, forgot it on that side. So that's glued there. We're going to put our T-pieces together. It's very important to get these, oh, sorry, I'm slightly out of the camera here. These form the centre, not the centre, the two sides of the roof. It's very important for them to be glued before you try and put these two on, because of it keeps your roof from being, I'm having trouble putting these two together. There's little notches here to go one way in to keep your roof together and straight. So that's just being glued like that. I've got my other, that hopefully can come out of here now. That way, and my vise can go away. We've got this side. All you've got to do is put a bit of glue there, a bit of glue there. Painting tip, because of this thatch goes continuous from here to here, how they moulded it, the thatch on the two sides aren't as detailed, or there's not as much indent, so it's a lot more careful. If I just pull this for a second, to do down this side than the rest of it, so you just got to be a bit more careful on these sides because of it's not as detailed. So now we're gonna allow all of that to dry for a minute. So for the dormers, all we've got to do is, for now, put them two little sides on. For the roof of the porch, again it's this. So all my little dormers, I'm using a different roof detail, so it's that one. Where any of my porch ones, like a grand porch one, I'm using like that, and the sides of the roofs, I'm using that. So it's just to be a bit more grand. Some of my more fancy buildings, I am using the horse symbols. You get enough horses like that to do all four like that, or you can have four plain ones, or you can have, because you get four of each, you can mix and match however you want. So it's your choice how fancy it is. In the real life, not every building's going to have the amount of time it takes to create this, so some of it is going to be a bit more bland. So I've tried to recreate where would be the more detailed and where would be the bland ones. So going on to the porch here, before I glued the two doors together, I'm going to glue the corners on, because you need a bit more force because of just to sit in this top bit here. So it's easier from experience to put the two corners on first, and I'm just making sure I've got my two little bolts, nails, whatever, it would be nails because of the era they're in, most likely, rather than bolts, to be at the top. So we're going to glue the two doors together now, and then just sitting like that to form the sides. I'll wait and do the sides once all of that's dried. I'll do my extra detail afterwards, to make sure I'm not having to press where it is. So going back to the main building now, what we're going to do, we're going to create the actual box of it. So we're going to flip this over, run the glue down there and there. We're going to do the same with this one. So I've got a door at one end and a blank tile at the other, and I've designed where the windows are because they're going to be symmetrical to what they are. So please be careful what you do lay it out when you do pull it together to what goes where. Because this, if you didn't glue it straight, it doesn't make a difference. You see that one just bent when I was putting pressure on it. Please be careful when you've got to put some pressure on some of the corners to make sure they sit in. Otherwise, if you don't do the pressure, sorry I came off the camera slightly, if you don't do the pressure to make sure they sit in, you can leave a bit of a gap at the top of the bottom. So please be careful, and when you, as I say, when you do squeeze in, they do bend on the kinks slightly. So just be careful with that. Once that's on, you can do your triangle pieces. So on this, I run a bit of glue along the bottom to give it strength, and a bit of glue there. And as I was saying before, this length here fits just between the two walls, which means your triangle will always be perfectly centered, because of there's meant to be a bit of overhang on both sides. It doesn't quite go to the edge, so it's quite crucial to, that is basically your guide how far it's got to butt up against. When you're doing some of the more crazier buildings and your own design, sometimes you won't be able to, there might not be a wall there to stick against, so please be careful. So that's your actual building. Other than putting in some final detail, this now won't be touched again, unless you want to glue the physical porch onto it. When I say about some fine detail, I mean putting on, if I grab one of my other buildings, quickly, you do get in the kits as well some like ropes, some harnesses, so there's other little details you can attach onto it. I'm not putting them on in the video, it's up to you. I'm just doing the main building elements. So the roof, like I've done on all my others, I run the glue down here. I roll it to the side, try and let it like be adhesive, and it's easier doing the first one like this. After that, you want to get one of these in place. That's what I'm saying, they need to be solid. I put all the glue I need to put on this here now to be easier. Yeah, I'm still on camera, that's good. I also prep my second one because once you've done one, the other one, this glue doesn't exactly dry straight away, so I've got 30 seconds or so. So this comes up, it locks in on one side. You want to make sure your roof's correct, and then you get your other one. Really should have prepped this glue. So obviously I've got the glue on the side, this goes onto the top, and again it sits in and it locks in. But if you do it like this, your angle for your roof is going to be true because I've trued it up to this. And then while that's still gluing in, I get my other side and get it on. Now to make sure it locks in while it's gluing, because this side had bent in slightly, so again it can have the top of it to keep it in shape, because we want that shape for the roof. I'm going to leave that off for a minute. How it locks in, you can literally put it like this straight away. It's great. Now onto the, I'm going to go back to the porch. I'm going to glue the two sides on so they are ready. So that's great. Now for the roof side of it. It's quite simple, there's only two of them. There's no corner bit in the centre, so what we have to do is you just run straight down there. The two little roofs glue together and hinge themselves, so you just have to run it along one side. And again, do it upright like this with the side down on the table, because then you'll get your true angle and your correct angle. So always glue your roofs together to get the right angle on the edge. So this sits over like this, which is great. However, because of how cool the kits are, it's got a little groove on this side. You might be able to see there, just here. That is going to stop it from being flush to the building. There isn't anything on that side, but when it sits in like this, it can be perfectly flush if you pull it to the front, perfectly flush here and here, other than that little notch. So that little notch is going to stop it from quite going here perfectly. So what we're just going to have to do, and it's good for future reference, is you just clip it off. And I'll do it while you're cleaning everything. I did clean all these parts of the building before the video, just because of you wouldn't want to have seen me clipping it off a sprue and cleaning the plastics to get rid of all the mould lines and everything like that. So that's going to sit on here like that. And you could have glued it if you wanted. This is going to sit on like, that sits on perfectly, that goes on there, so I've got it at the side. Where this one, if you have a look, I've got it at the end, I've got my little dormer there, and this one's going to be at the front. So I've done it as a front porch rather than a side porch. Both porches you can just lift straight away. This one you have to take the roof off first, is easier to do it. Because of this one doesn't need the roof to come off to pull it on or off, what I'm going to do is I am actually going to glue this roof to it. Sometimes it's better to leave it non-glued. This occasion, I think, for this type of porch, it's better just to glue it. So that is glued like that. We'll put this over building weight because of not to confuse matters. So that is the porch done. Now the dormers. Oh no, I'm putting the extra detail on. So I've trimmed off the sides as I've said, and I'm just going to glue it, and I'm going to stick it on the sides here. Oh, I'm just falling off. Making sure it's level with the bottom. But this horse detail is really quite nice. You can cut them down quite easily and stick them in tons of places. So my stables, I've cut it down and I've used it there, if you can see it, just there. There's a bit of a detail. So you can cut these down, these horse heads, stick them in a lot of places, and they're quite a nice bit of detailing to do it. So that's my front porch, if you can see it alright. I've just got them on to be a little bit cooler, a bit more Rohan-y. So the final thing I've got to do is the dormer. Now the dormers you do have to stick to the roofs, and I'll show you the best place to put them on the roof in a minute. First of all, you've got to do it. So on the dormers you've got one side a window and then one side isn't a window and it's a Rohan symbol. Please make sure you always do it so the window's out. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick these triangle roofs on. So again, for the roofs I do both sides of that, lay that flat because it's crucial, because if it's a short roof it hinges itself. So, and again it's got notches in to slot in place, and I'd assemble it on here so your angle again is correct. Once it's built, what you can do is you can you only have to glue the top bit and the notch and down. Make sure you put the window to the outside. And it just sits in like that with a little overhang. Obviously on this one there is the door is a lot more stepped back, there is a bigger overhang. I could have slid it up slightly, but then I would have had to trim down the back of here. So it's up to you how much of an overhang you have. You've got a few different options. Now for your dormers, you can put them technically anywhere on the roof. If I show you this roof, one I've done before, you can put them anywhere. Alright? However, there is more optimum places to do it. When you've only got one roof, it sits perfectly in one location only. So on the top of here, you'll see 3 notches. One there, one there, and one there. If this part, the corner, goes up and then there's a little dimple here, if you sit it in the dimple, let me just find it, or just like that, your seams here, oh, I'm actually bending my roof at the moment, your seams here are a lot less, there isn't as much. If you do it like here, the crack between them is more. So you can do it anywhere, it's just the size of the crack will be different. If you were doing a long roof, like this one, because you've got a longer area, you've got a lot more options to do it. But with a short roof, to do it on a true dimple here, you're overhanging, not great, which means the perfect fit, you only have this one option here to do it, and it doesn't stay. So you do have to glue it. So for a short building or a normal building, you do really only have one place really to do it. And as I say, if you are designing a one with a porch on the side, please be careful because of obviously you've got to make sure you know where the porch is going. The porch always is to one side because of how it sits in here, and then you've also got to look at your windows where your porch goes and where your roof goes. Because of the roof, it can go like this. As long as you only put one dormer on one side, it's perfectly fine. So without anything further ado, let's glue this dormer on. Out of all the glues on this house, this one you've got to be the most patient with. Because of none of this was flat and none of the sides of the roof is flat, it actually sticks. It takes the longest time to actually take effect. And you also want to do, when you've put it in the top, you also want to make sure the bottom here, I'm really trying to hold this to make sure the glue sticks, that is flush, well not flush, but perpendicular to this, because you don't want a crooked dormer roof. Alright. So I'll put this on like that. So that is a traditional Rohan building. That is your other option. Oh. So, but as I say, the same principle set for, it's just this porch on the side, slightly different. And for this, it's quite nice if you don't glue the porches on, because then you get a different, you don't have to have it. It's quite cool. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed having a look at how these buildings are made. Part 3 is going to be my blacksmith variant, which uses one kit again. So these two buildings used one kit. My more elaborate buildings, last video, used a 2 kit, a 1.5 kit and a 1.5 kit. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it and have a good night. Please like, share and subscribe this video as well, because it does help bring more content to the channel.